So for today, we are going to take a look at the benchmarking analysis or benchmarking in general. And benchmarking is one of those tools that can be used um, by startups for a number of things. You can use it to brand, you can use it to structure your services and products, you can use it for your feasibility studies, you can use it for your surveys. It goes hand in hand with stakeholder analysis in most regards. So once you understand what your stakeholders want, and by stakeholders we mean those who are impacted by and impact your success, or those who are have an interest in the success of the organization. So by stakeholders, you'll be looking at shareholders, you'll be looking at customers, you'll be looking at your target audience, etc., etc. If there are regulatory bodies who play a huge role in what you are not able to do, what you are or aren't able to do in regards to maybe the service or product you offer, yeah, that is also a key stakeholder. Now, once you understand what your stakeholders want in general, you can now, through a benchmarking analysis, shape and structure your services or products in line with what your goals and long-term vision is or are. For example, say your shareholders want to achieve maybe a certain amount of revenue in X number of years. What is your strategy for achieving that? Now, the trigger for your strategy is the demand. So hence the analogy that stakeholder analysis and benchmarking analysis should be viewed as not necessarily always going hand in hand. They work in isolation, but it's important to understand what your stakeholders want to be able to conduct a benchmarking analysis. So for the benchmarking analysis, simply put, your goal is to identify best practice. Now, it may be of direct competitors, it may be of those who are not even in the same industry, because you may have maybe a company whose theme or whose culture or whose approach to maybe doing business or the way they package their products and services enlightens you on how you want to package your products and services. So benchmarking in general is researching, looking around. Okay, so what's the not just the main competition, but what businesses, competitors, etc. are doing that you believe can be inculcated into what you seek to establish, and copy the best practice in quotes. Now, best practice in quotes because that's your view of what you believe is best practice. And this requires a lot of research and analysis. Once you understand what you look to achieve through your stakeholder analysis, what your vision is, what the shareholders want, what the client's demands are, what gap you seek to fill within the market, it's important to now conduct your research and then identify, okay, what can I copy or what best practices can I copy? The beautiful thing about business management is for most of the tools, there is no one size fits all approach. And there is the recognition that over time, over a number of years, people may begin to come up with new ideas, debunk old ideas. So, for anyone thinking, okay, so how do I conduct a benchmarking analysis? What is the approach? Is that an A, B, C, D, E, F, G approach? Just ignore that. The whole goal of benchmarking, or what it means, is to identify the practices, approaches, technical approaches, culture, thought processes of companies you want to copy, or identify the thought process, the approaches, the culture, the strategy you want to copy. Okay, so you may have companies who overall generally you don't really like how they do, maybe how they treat their employees, but you like how they brand. So you can inculcate their branding schemes or themes, not copy. Inculcate their branding themes or schemes into what you seek to establish. One of the beautiful things about technology now is it's so easy to get access to organizations all over the place, and it's so easy to research on them without necessarily having to call and ask questions. So, say you want to package maybe a service, you can look online. Okay, so maybe you want to go into accountancy, you can look at how the accountancy firms in general package their services, and you can look at how they market. Now, say you can't afford to market in that manner, you can look at, okay, companies that are within your scope and how they market. Now, say you can't afford that too, then you can look at individuals and how they market their approaches. And funny enough, you may even get ideas on how to market your approach, though you can't afford maybe on the same level. So that gathering that information can also trigger ideas. So, as maybe a startup, when, as mentioned earlier, say you are conducting a feasibility study, you are doing a survey, etc., to bring out new product services, you are trying to structure, you're trying to identify what exactly you look to achieve, or what objective you have as an organization. Research, benchmarking is this, I wouldn't say essential, is beneficial to gaining that competitive advantage in the long term, that sustainable competitive advantage, because sustainability is important.